Have you ever knocked on the wrong door, one that looked safe, felt normal, but hid something dark beneath the surface? Two young missionaries do just that. They enter a stranger's home. What follows isn't violence. It isn't chaos. It's something far more terrifying. A battle of minds, belief, and control. Welcome to Heretic, a film that doesn't scream horror. It whispers it. And that whisper stays with you long after the credits roll. In this video, we'll break down everything you missed. From hidden symbolism to disturbing psychological games, we'll explore the dark secrets behind the calmest scenes. You'll also learn how a simple dinner conversation becomes a nightmare, and why Hugh Grant's role in this film is unlike anything he's done before. So stay with us till the end. There's more going on in this movie than most people realize, and once you see it clearly, you might not see Faith the same way again. You're watching Movies Review, where we dive deep into the darkest corners of cinema. If you're into psychological thrillers, hidden meanings, and powerful storytelling, hit that subscribe button and join our growing community. Let's begin. The film is titled Heretic. At first glance, it sounds like a typical horror story, but it's far from that. It doesn't chase you with monsters. It doesn't shout with blood. Instead, it creeps under your skin with silence, with words, and with ideas that feel too real. Heretic is a psychological horror, the kind that builds quietly and then never leaves your mind. It's directed by Scott Beck and Brian Woods, the same duo who co-wrote A Quiet Place. Just like that film, this one plays with fear in subtle, intelligent ways. The horror here is not just what happens, but what could happen. That what if haunts you from the start. The cast is small, but powerful. Hugh Grant plays Mr. Reed, a man with manners as smooth as silk. Then we have Sophie Thatcher and Chloe East, playing Sister Paxton and Sister Barnes, two young Mormon missionaries. Their mission is simple: spread the word, knock on doors, speak with kindness. But when they meet Mr. Reed, things take a strange turn. The plot sounds simple. Two girls enter a house. But what happens inside is a slow, calculated spiral. Fear doesn't come through violence. It comes through conversation, through logic, through twisted questions, and through a strange kind of charm that feels both inviting and dangerous. This isn't your typical horror. It's one that asks you to think, to feel, and to fear what you don't see. Let's talk about the three central characters who carry the entire film. First, we meet Sister Paxton and Sister Barnes, two teenage Mormon missionaries dressed in white shirts, long skirts, and smiles full of purpose. They're polite, soft-spoken, sincere. Their faith is strong. But then they knock on the door of Mr. Reed. He's calm, he's older, his voice is soothing. He invites them in, offers tea, and seems genuinely interested in what they have to say. But almost immediately something feels off. His questions are too precise, his smile too fixed, his interest too deep. At first, the girls think they've met someone curious, someone open-minded. But slowly, the room begins to shift. The warmth becomes cold. The kindness turns into control. Mr. Reed never yells, he never threatens, yet his presence begins to dominate the space. He speaks in riddles, he makes them doubt, and worst of all, he never lets them leave. This is where the movie shines. The characters are not just people, they are ideas. They are tests. The two girls represent faith, belief, and innocence. Mr. Reed is the unknown, charming, intelligent, and completely unreadable. Watching their conversations is like watching a chess game with lives at stake. And as the tension builds, one question remains: who's really in control here? Most of the movie takes place in one location, Mr. Reed's house. It's not a haunted mansion or an abandoned asylum. It's just a normal home, clean, quiet, cozy. But that's what makes it more terrifying. The danger doesn't scream at you, it whispers. It hides in polite conversation. It lurks in the shadows of soft lighting and locked doors. As soon as the girls step inside, something feels wrong, but nothing happens, not at first, and that's where the tension begins. Every room feels too still. Every hallway feels like a trap. The walls seem to close in, not physically, but emotionally. The house becomes a prison, not because of chains, but because of psychology. The conversations between Mr. Reed and the girls are where the horror lives. He asks them strange questions, challenges their beliefs, questions their morality, and always with a smile. It's like watching someone smile while holding a knife behind their back. There are no loud scares, no monsters, no sudden attacks, and yet your heart races, because the fear is built through words, tone, and space. The doors are closed, the phones don't work, the girls are trapped, not with violence, but with a mind that knows exactly how to pull their faith apart, thread by thread. This is slow burn horror at its finest. It builds, breathes, and traps you, just like the girls. Heretic is more than just a horror film. It's a story about power, faith, and control. The title itself, Heretic, tells us we're dealing with deep belief systems and the danger of losing yourself inside them. At its core, the film explores the tension between faith and manipulation. Sister Paxton and Sister Barnes walk into the house with strong beliefs, but Mr. Reed doesn't attack their faith. He questions it, slowly, patiently. He doesn't scream. There's also the theme of power hidden behind politeness. Mr. Reed is never cruel, he's never loud, but he controls everything. He offers tea, but he owns the space. He asks questions, but they're traps. His words are soft, but they pierce like knives. It's a reminder that the most dangerous people don't always shout, they smile. Then there's the struggle between belief and reason. The girls believe in God, in purpose, in salvation. Mr. Reed believes in thought, in logic, in debate, but his logic is sharp, cold, and slowly it chips away at everything the girls stand for. Heretic uses horror not to scare you with monsters, but to ask you disturbing questions. What do you believe? Why do you believe it? And what happens when someone smarter, calmer, and colder than you starts pulling that belief apart? This film makes you think, and that might just be the most terrifying thing of all. Sometimes a movie works because of its script, sometimes because of its shots. Heretic works because of its faces. The cast is small, but each actor fills the screen with silent storms. Hugh Grant steps so far outside his usual charm comedy roles that you almost forget the bright rom-com days. Here, his voice is velvet on glass. He sits still, smiles gently, and makes you search the corners of the frame for knives that never appear. That calm is the threat. Lesser-known fact, Grant studied real-life interviews with persuasive cult leaders to shape Reed's soft cadence. You can almost hear that research in every pause. Sophie Thatcher brings raw nerves to Sister Paxton. Her eyes do more talking than her lines. Watch the way her hands fold tighter each time Reed leans forward. Off-set, she kept a private journal, written in character, filling pages with nightly prayers to stay in the missionaries' headspace. That commitment shows. Chloe East, as Sister Barnes, is the bridge between faith and creeping doubt. She starts confident, almost eager, but every polite smile Reed gives her chips at that certainty. Together, the two actresses create a living equation. Conviction minus safety equals fear. Notice how little shouting happens. No grand speeches, just breaths and glances that feel like trapped birds. Each performer understands that horror here is psychological, so they strip away big gestures and let tension drip instead. By the final act, you know these characters better than their own families might, and that intimacy makes the danger cut deeper. In short, 3 actors, 1 house, and a masterclass on how quiet can be deafening. Imagine a normal hallway holding its breath. That is the feel Scott Beck and Brian Woods build. They shoot in tight frames, often letting walls crowd the edges, so you sense invisible hands pushing inward. Lighting stays low, lamps, not overheads, casting long, soft shadows that blur the line between safe space and threat space. There is almost no score. Instead, faint hums of appliances, distant traffic, or a teacup touching porcelain create a sound bed that keeps the ear searching. A door creak in this movie feels louder than a scream in others. A lesser-known tidbit: the directors filmed most scenes in chronological order. That rare choice allowed the actors' unease to grow naturally. By week 3, the crew noticed people whispering off-camera without planning to. The house set was also built slightly smaller than real scale. Floors and ceilings are inches tighter than normal, tricking your brain into feeling squeezed, even if you don't notice why. Cinematographer Polly Morgan favored a 50mm lens, the one closest to human eyesight, so every shot feels uncomfortably present, like you're sitting at that tense table too. No jump scare orchestral blasts, no flickering basement bulbs. The horror comes from being forced to watch pleasant surfaces too long. When Reed offers tea, the camera lingers on steam curling upward like a silent alarm. When Paxton hesitates at a doorway, the lens stays fixed on her back, giving the void before her more power than any monster lurking in darkness. This direction turns an ordinary suburban home into a maze of psychological tripwires. By the time you hear a single footstep upstairs, your heartbeat is already sprinting. Heretic moves the way ice melts: slow, silent, relentless. Some viewers might complain nothing happens at first. They miss that everything is happening in the silence. The script leans on extended takes where conversation stretches until words feel like chains. Editors resisted the urge to cut away. Many exchanges run in near real time, forcing you to sit in the discomfort, just as the missionaries must. Fun fact: early drafts were written as a stage play. That heritage shows in the rhythm: long dialogue duels, tiny shifts in posture, standing in for action beats. But on film, those pauses between sentences become thunder. Style-wise, the color palette stays muted: soft browns, faded blues, the occasional blood-red bloom of a flower arrangement that suddenly feels ominous. Costume design keeps the sisters in crisp white shirts that slowly lose their starch, a visual record of their crumbling certainty. The film's structure is simple: arrival, discussion, revelation, reversal. Yet inside that skeleton, the pace is calculated like a metronome. It adds 5 beats of tension, then offers 1 breath, then 7 beats, then half a breath. Viewers expecting a roller coaster might feel restless. That restlessness is the point. You are trapped in waiting, exactly as the sisters are. By the time the story finally lunges, you realize the slow burn has cooked you through. The final act tightens every screw the film has been turning. Questions raised in early chats resurface with sharper edges. One room grows impossibly dark, not because the lights dim, but because dread swallows color. Answers arrive, but each carries more weight than comfort. You will learn Reed's motive, yet motives can be mirrors. What you see might reflect your own fears more than the character's truth. The climax lands without fireworks. Instead, it feels like a sudden drop in temperature. A choice is forced, a line is crossed. There is movement, yes, but the real impact is emotional whiplash. When credits roll, you may find yourself staring at the black screen, replaying earlier dialogues now loaded with new meaning. Viewers leave with 3 persistent questions. What would I have done in that house? Did Reed believe his own words or simply enjoy control? Is faith a shield or a shackle when confronted by pure logic wrapped in velvet? The film offers no clear resolution, only an invitation to debate. And that lingering uncertainty is the scariest part. Many horror movies end when the monster dies. Heretic ends when the monster, and it might be an idea, not a person, crawls into your mind and sets up camp. Heretic is not horror that hunts you in a dark forest. It is the stranger who shakes your hand too firmly and never breaks eye contact. If you crave gore, look elsewhere. But if you crave stories that sit on your shoulder days later, whispering doubts about human nature, this film delivers. It proves terror can be polite, faith can be fragile, and power can hide behind the gentlest smile. So when you finish watching, share your thoughts below. Do you side with reason or belief? Did the slow pace amplify or weaken the fear? We read every comment, and if deep dives into unsettling cinema are your thing, subscribe to Movies Review now. We have more hidden gems, more psychological puzzles, and more tales that twist the mind on the way. Hit the bell so you never miss a breakdown. Until next time, keep your doors unlocked only if you're ready to question everything you think you know. Stay curious and stay safe.